All right, I'm going to start getting down into some basics here, and that's what this first week is sort of a generalized basics. And I'll tell you here in a couple videos what we're going to cover in this workshop. Some of the general areas we're going to cover. I'm not going to, of course, not going to go into it all here, but some of the basics. The goal of this is, as I've said above here, is to find your way to get your creative voice to shine through. Now, this is going to be difficult at times, because the creative voice comes from back here. It's not this thing between your eyebrows here. It is not that. That's your critical voice. Your critical voice doesn't have a creative thought in it. Not one. You can sit there from your critical voice and make up all kinds of stuff, and it will all be derivative. Every bit of it. Because the critical voice is your conscious thinking voice. Your creative voice is this part back here. So you're going to see me constantly in these videos referring to how do I get you folks to here, out of this part here and back to here, and you write from back there. Now, part of this is going to be where it's going to make you uncomfortable, as I said in the first video. Part of it is going to be learning what works for you and doesn't work for you. Now, what works for you can't be tried with one short story. Oh, I tried that for one short story and it didn't work. What? No, you might try it for 6 months or a year before you give up on a method, but one short story doesn't work? No, that's not a test. That's nothing. So one of the places that you see this problem, and you see it a lot, is that this thing in November, the NaNoWriMo thing, where people are encouraged, which is a wonderful thing. I mean, I'm a complete supporter of it. A wonderful thing. They are encouraged to write a novel in a month. Well, to professional writers, this is so. But to beginning writers with day jobs and everything else, this is a push. And it's kind of a cool. And what the push is often is to get through the, I've got to find time to write, I'm writing too fast. Well, what occurs for these novels, these poor novels that are written, is they're written often from back here at white hot speed, because white hot speed is a 50 or 60,000 word novel for someone in a month. That's white hot speed. If you do the math on that, of course, that's just silly, but for a lot of people, that's white hot speed, and they're writing from their subconscious. Well, what occurs, because the training for beginning writers is so strong, I mean, it's just almost shackles on all of us. I was, again, no exception to this rule. I had 7 years of my life in these shackles before I finally figured out a way to break clear of them. These kind of shackles will take these novels. The chances are all they need is a first reader to find some mistakes and could go right into print and probably would be quite original. Well, the writers who wrote these think, oh, well, I've got to do a major rewrite on that because it can't be good. Well, that's this thing right here. That's this part between your eyebrows talking, the stupid part, the critical part, and that's that part talking. And so you need to basically kill that part and figure out a system where you can trust it. Now, the problem with this as basics is, as writers, we are the worst judges of our own work. We don't have a clue whether something works or not. There are no exceptions to this rule. We think we do, however. Oh boy, do we think we know. Oh, we're convinced we know. But we don't, because the story is in our head. Writing is coding little black marks so that story that's in your head appears in someone else's head. Well, when you look at the black marks you coded, the story appears. That has nothing to do with the success or failure of how those little black marks make somebody else think of a story. And so you're putting something down, and you think it's there, and the best way to see this is in phony details. I talk a bunch about this in the depth workshop. You use the word barn. Well, when I said the word barn, everybody listening to this had a different image of a different barn. But it's not the barn I wanted to put in my story. See, and so therefore, when I wrote the story and I put that word barn in there, it was as clear as day to me, and I'm sure that worked. Only it didn't match the story because everybody else thought of a different barn, and therefore it didn't work in the story. And that's why we, as individuals, are horrid judges of our own work. This is the hardest lesson for any of us to teach and any of us to get. We all, it never stops. We all have different opinions of our work. I have finally gotten to the point, and it started in 1982, where I believed everything I wrote was complete crap. Everything. I trusted first readers to tell me if it worked or not. I just trusted them. Oh, it worked? Oh, surprise. And off it would go. Oh, didn't work? Oh, yeah, well, that's kind of what I figured, and go in a drawer. And so now, I trust my first reader. I just have a trusted first reader. I think everything I hand her is awful. Awful. And she often will hand me a new novel or a new story or something, and she'll be going on about how crappy it is, and oh, it doesn't work, and oh, it's boring, and oh, it's and when she starts thinking something is boring, I know it's probably going to win awards. It's just because I'm Chris's first reader, and and it's just the nature of the beast. She can't. I mean, she's a Hugo Award-winning editor, folks, and she can't judge her own work. I've been nominated 6 times for Hugos for editing. I can't judge my own work. If I trusted my own work, I'd never have mailed or published anything. I thought it was all crap, complete crap. You can't do that, folks. You have to learn how to release your own originality, and this originality comes from back here. And the minute this part between your eyebrows, that critical voice, starts getting involved, you're just doomed. You're just doomed. You have to get to a place in some system that works for you, and there's no right way, but works for you, that you release the control of the critical voice over your creative voice and let the product that your creative voice that has been reading and absorbing stories your entire life, you let that product out into the world. That will be original product. The critical voice, it's all derivative. Can't do anything out of critical voice.